Peace, and welcome to another new episode of Out the Box Talks. I am your host, Krill. We have arrived at episode 83. You know, I'll be counting down these episodes until I get to 100. So this is episode 83. I'm excited to keep the ball rolling. The guests that I have on the show today, man, I've been rocking with these brothers from probably since like 2005, man. And it's just amazing to be able to build with them and see them still doing their thing up to this point. So this is going to be a really dope build. I want to shout out a few things out the box related though before we go into our interview of the day. Our website is outtheboxmedia.com. So remember, you can go to that site to get acquainted with our recent and all of our previous interviews with artists. We've been doing interviews since 2009, and you can find a bulk of that here on this YouTube channel, Out the Box TV. If you have been rocking with us and you like what we do and you want to support us, there's a few ways that you can do that. We have our merch store, which is at the link. The link is on screen if you're watching on YouTube, but it'll also be available in the description. And that link is outtheboxmedia.bigcartel.com. So if you want to cop you a Out the Box snapback or t-shirt or even coffee mugs, and we have a few merchandise for the podcast itself, Out the Box Talks podcast, you can definitely go to that link. Also, we have a Patreon page where you can get access to exclusive interview clips. These are interview clips that are not available to the free public. So you got to be an Out the Box Media Patreon, or a supporter that goes above and beyond to support us in that way. And I think we have about at least 23 to 24 clips up right now that have like exclusive interviews that have not been heard before unless you're a Patreon subscriber. Also, if you want to donate to our platform, you can donate through Cash App. The cash tag Out the Box Rep is where you can send Cash App donations, or you can do it through PayPal, and you can go to paypal.me/outtheboxmedia. If you are watching this episode on YouTube, remember to hit that YouTube subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you're not familiar, we are also available via the audio podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, etc. All right. So just wanted to make sure I get that out of the way. Any support that you can give is appreciated, even if it's in the form of a like or a share. It goes a long way. So thank you all for taking the time to hear that. We have our interview for today, and this interview is going to feature two artists that they rep two different cities. I feel like they're like honorary New Yorkers either way, but and natively they rep us, Cincinnati and Brooklyn. And like I said, I've been rocking with them early. Like I think the first time I heard about this group was on this show called Squeeze Radio that used to be on Columbia University. It was like Columbia University college radio station, and it was the first time I even heard of this group, and I was just loving the vibes. They put out a EP called the Sunset EP, and everything about it I was feeling. I was just feeling the energy about what they were bringing, and they have gone on to just be consistent and keep up with that quality that they've been known for initially when I first heard of them. So they have a new album out today. It's sort of self-titled, but not self-titled, and we'll get into that. Yeah, man, it's just a pleasure to be able to build with them. So without further ado, I want to welcome to our Out the Box Talks listening audience, my brothers, Don Will and Von P, better known as Tanya Morgan.
What's good? You, what's up?
Good. What's good, man? How y'all doing?
I'm pretty good, man. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoying this. I don't know what day it is, but enjoying this evening. It's been a marathon of a day for myself. So to finally get to sit down and have a conversation is dope.
Yeah,
Dope.
man, and same here, man. Like I said, I'm back home for a little while, so just getting readjusted to the hometown again, and but now I just been chilling with family, man. So good, can't complain.
Indeed, man. Like I said, man, it's a pleasure to have y'all here. I didn't get a chance to mention in the intro that in addition to the Sunset EP, like you guys have put out like a variety of projects over the years as Tanya Morgan, but also as solo artists as well. Like I remember the Moonlighting project that came out around 2006. Then came The
Mhm.
Bridge. Then came Brooklyn Addy, which was another favorite of mine's. And then over the years, you guys continue to put out projects. I know last year y'all put out the Be Right Back EP, and now y'all have officially released y'all full length project. And then I realized it's been a little while since y'all put out a full length project, so it's good to hear that Don and Vaughn has arrived.
Right.
Yeah.
um, I want to start first though by you know asking you guys this question. Like Tanya Morgan, for those that may not know, initially started out as a trio with Ilias as a member back in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
Well, you two have been putting out releases as a duo since the UN What Army project, I think in 2011, which was like the last time I interviewed y'all. After a decade of doing music as a duo, what made y'all now want to title this new album Don and Vaughn?
There you go ahead.
Well, I've been pressuring Vaughn to do an album titled Don and Vaughn for a long time. So it was bound to happen. Just mainly because you know what I'm saying? Like I know that for the group to be named Tanya Morgan is always like there's always like this who is she world. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always that confusion about the group name. And I felt like putting our name on the same like platform as that, like in terms of album cover or title, it just kind of like, oh, okay, those are the dudes behind the music. You know what I'm saying? Like
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I mean, it's a fitting name, right? And my question was really in relations to the timing of it, right? Like what made this timing right to title it, Don and Vaughn?
well, I'll answer again. And I'll let you chime in too, Vaughn, because I don't know if this is the same reason for you. But for me, it was just like, and for what this album is just slim. We kind of took away. It's not really a conceptual thing. It's not really like a. It's not really like like we usually do like this heavy concept, kind of like have a through line, and this is just meat and potatoes rap. You know what I'm saying? Beats and rhymes, and I felt like for what it was worth, the album explains who we are as people, as individuals. Because like you were saying, we do a lot of solo work, and we do a lot of work in a group, and we do a lot of work in other areas. And it's just like, okay, so who is Tanya Morgan? It's Don and Vaughn. Well, who is Don and Vaughn? You know what I'm saying? Like as opposed to dressing it up with a bunch of skits this time, we just kind of dressed it down and just displayed the bars.
Got it. Did you want to chime in, Vaughn?
Yeah, pretty much. Like same thing. Like he said, I was thinking about it earlier, and when we started out, we had a mission. We said, it's been the last full length album we put out was 2017, which especially now that's like this might as well be a brand new. We might as well be a brand new group at this point.
Yeah.
So it was like a reintroduction, and we ride, like I say on the album, never changing the name. We ride with the name Tanya Morgan, but it is like a reintroduction. So it's who is Tanya Morgan? It's Don and Vaughn. Okay, and like he said, well, who's Don and Vaughn? And that's who we are. Even down to production, we are back in like I guess our original production team, which is myself and Brick Beats, always did like a chunk of the Tanya Morgan albums. We got Aeon riding with us again, and we also got Clint Taylor, my man Dane's Zone. But most of all, it's that same core. Like the last album, we did a lot of outside production, and did the thing where we just record different songs and then pick which ones we like. And this one we wanted to just get back to how we not how we used to do it, but how we usually do it. And it's like a reintroduction, a reformation, Don and Vaughn, you know?
Makes a lot of sense, man. And I think when you consider, like you were saying, Don, that you guys have put out a lot of solo releases, you know, I imagine that probably some of your fans probably first got wind of you through solo releases, right? Not the you know, the older heads, but like you guys are probably getting new fans with every release that you put out, you know.
Well, I will say that the solo catalogs, us as solos, we definitely have different fan bases.
Yeah.
And with that, you know, my fan base, so most of my solo catalog, for better or for worse, it's always totally different. Like I never really, I usually try to do some things that I couldn't do on the Tanya Morgan record, or that wouldn't necessarily fit on the Tanya Morgan record. Or like I try to drag Vaughn into a world where it's just like, what's happening? like a perfect one is the Don Speaks project, where, you know, it was a lot more like electronic feeling.
Yeah.
A little bit less. It still had the characteristics and elements of what you would find on the Tanya Morgan record, or who everything that you would kind of come to me to expect. But a person that came fresh off of Brooklyn Addy and heard Don Speaks would be like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, and not in a bad way, but just in a way like, oh, this is some completely different stuff. But mainly because I don't want to dilute what people come to Tanya Morgan for. You know what I'm saying? It's just a place for me to experiment and play around with stuff.
Now I could dig it, and knowing of your solo catalog, although I'm way more familiar with the Tanya Morgan catalog, but the releases you've put out, I've definitely checked out. I definitely see that you take it to another plateau, right? You experiment a little bit more. So I wanted to ask, like, one of the first things that you say on the album, Vaughn, is some of y'all were raised on us, to the listener. And as I thought about, you know, your guys' career, it's like y'all been rocking for at least 16 years.
17, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
yeah.
How, yeah, and I mean, I'm just going based on what I've, you know, as long as I've known y'all. But like, how has your fan base evolved over the years, and how have you been able to adapt to the change in audience?
You know, the coolest thing is when we started out in 2005, 2000, we put out the first mixtape. We did a mixtape called Sunlight in 04. And then we really started to like when you around 05, like you said, with Sunset and like Stay Tuned. That was like our very first single was Stay Tuned, and that was 05. But around that time, because we had a vibe from the 90s at that time, like a you know, like native tongue vibe.
Right.
Our fan base skewed a little older than we were anyway. And in comparison to like if you go back and, you know, if you were a person getting slightly older and you like driving around with your kids, you're not necessarily going to be playing, with no disrespect to anybody, but you're not necessarily going to be playing, you know, the Ice Cream Man. I mean, you know, Jeezy or whatever at the time. You're like, you know, listen to this quote unquote, not saying we the real music, but listen to this real music. So that 5-year-old that was in the car with their, you know, 30-year-old mom or dad, that was 15 years ago. They're 20 years old now. They can have a drink and listen to the new Tanya Morgan album. And when that first started to happen, like, I have to say that might have been about 2012. It started early because we, you know, we'd be at South by Southwest or whatever and run into like an 18-year-old that say, yo, my parents used to play y'all. Man, in high school, I was listening to y'all. And at first, you know, that's like it's like, you know, if you're a lady and somebody call you ma'am for the first time, you're like, whoa, ma'am. You know what I mean? So it's like, now don't call me OG or, you know, you the big homie. Like, no. I'm, especially in hip hop, you want to still be the new Jack. So with this, another thing with this album is embracing that now, being like, yeah, we are to the point of like, you know, trying to be seen as, you know, the OGs, the veterans, and acknowledging that, yo, there are people that grew up on us. There's a lot of people that was listening to us in high school. And if you look in like my what I've been doing on my Instagram at Von P, I was doing the 13 days of Tanya thing, and I was going through our whole catalog, and there were people like, man, this was my joint in high school. I remember my dad used to play this, and
That's crazy.
they grew up on us. So now it's time to embrace that and show them that, like, we still on it. You know, it's not, we not giving y'all this is what we used to do. Let's remake our old song. This is like, no, we still trying to make the best album we've made to this day. We still going for that, you know?
Yeah.
And just embracing them, like not even so much the new people, but the people that were super young. This album is kind of for them, but it's also for their uncle or aunt or whoever introduced them to us. And it's like, let's all be here, whether you 25 or 50. This is for all of y'all. You know what I mean?
Indeed. You know, the thought of that amazes me because, like, following you all since 2005 when I first got wind of y'all, it feels like it's a blink of an eye.
It does.
Absolutely.
And I wonder, like, was it like that for y'all? Like, with all of these projects that y'all put out, like, it must have been like really amazing to hear somebody say that. Like, I listened to you when I was younger. Like, I feel like I'm around the same age of y'all, and it's making me feel old. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but, like, it makes me think, because I've been doing Out the Box since 2009. I mean, you guys got more years in, you know, but yeah, I mean, that's amazing to be able to get to that place. Do you think? Go ahead, Don.
I was gonna say, so, like, you know, like for us, it always feels new, because I mean, like, you're every time you drop a project feels like your first time out, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Because in that moment, it's your first time. You're getting back on the horse. The means of distribution might change, which in turn changes how you can find your fans, which in turn makes sometimes you lose people along the way, but you gain new people, and then people come back when the visibility or awareness changes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I absolutely know there are people who didn't know about You Get What You Pay For, and are just like, oh, these dudes are back after 6-7 years. What? And like, now they're going back and checking the projects. But, you know, for us on the inside working, like, the same as, you know, man, like, you just recording episodes, you just hollering at the homies, come on through the show. And then, like, you think about it, like, man, 5-10 years have passed, but it's almost just the same as just any other social interaction, where you might bump into like a good friend of yours from high school or college and be like, man, we should get a drink. Y'all get up and have a drink and just suddenly realize, like, oh man, you've been married for 6 years and I've been in my job for 8 years, and it don't feel like we missed a beat because we were so tapped into what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's down bad. It's not like somebody has like this traumatic life experience, so you don't have to grapple with that. You're only grappling with the beauty of it. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. You know, I was gonna ask, like, do you think the internet age that we're living in had a part to play in kind of speeding up that process? Yeah.
I would say in a funny way, it speeds it up, but it's easier to keep tabs on people, because I would challenge to ask, I would ask somebody like if we came out in 94, if we came out in 94, for example, my bad, I was hearing noise in the other one, pardon me. If we came out in 94, for example, and we were like, I don't know, just I don't want to name a group out of this, you know, not to disrespect anybody, but if we were like, you know, you had your Tribes and your De Las and your Outcasts and the Roots and Goody Mobs, and you know, you had these people, and then you had the artists that were like a little underneath them. As far as we know, a lot of those artists got one album, and maybe they came back out on like an indie label in like 2000, 2001, 2002. But a lot of those artists back then is like, we have to get in the studio that a label pays for. We have to get a video. The video has to be on Rap City or MTV. And it's like there's a lot of classics we never heard because those artists needed that studio time. They needed that label. And, you know, they needed X, Y, and Z. And, you know, and all of that happening before the internet before they were able to do it themselves, they might have fallen out of love with it. Whereas with us, there's so many of us that are still around, still rocking, and we just have to keep the passion on our own, even if we don't have, like, let's say, you know, you was popping on the blogs 10 years ago, or you caught the last wave of videos being on MTVU or MTV Jams or whatever. You still have the platform, whatever social media you use, as long as you're still paying for your website, as long as you still got a mic in your house, as long as you still got, you know, Fruity Loops machine, whatever you use, you can still sit down and make a joint, and you can put it out, whatever the, you know, whether it's the blogs or it's your Instagram, or if you loop your joint up on TikTok, whatever you do, there's still a way for those same people to keep up with you. And that's what we have. Like I said, years ago, we may not have been able to keep up with everybody like we can. So while it does speed it up, it makes it easier to just keep a tail on people. Even if you followed us because of You and What Army, and we just never popped up on your Facebook or whatever again until this year.
Right.
And now it's like, wait, I remember them. Let me go listen to it.
Yeah.
They still dope, you know? So it speeds it up, but it's a little easier. It's harder to keep up, but it's also a little easier because you can just follow everybody.
That's right.
And just tune in, like, yo, what is Tanya Morgan doing right now? What is, you know, whoever, what are they doing? And you can just check it like that.
There are so many times where I'll just have a random inquiry, like, what is so and so doing? I forget who the last person I thought about that was, but like, I'll just type in Google, and 9 times out of 10 they have an Instagram page and they're doing something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally about, I'm sorry, but it's literally about just, like, your curiosity can take you wherever you wanted to go in terms of finding the people and the artists you once rock with or you rock with. But it's just that the thing is, again, like, it's just so much other noise because everything's competing for everything. Whereas the music space used to be a music space, and like all the different medias were kind of like segregated, and now it's content. You know what I'm saying? Like a tweet, you can record a 20-second jingle that'll change your life harder than a 20-song album. You know what I'm saying? Or you could write a series of tweets and end up with a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just all one thing now. And I think that the strength that we've had and other artists like us that have just kind of persisted and kept going, you know, adding on to what Vaughn was saying, like, I don't have to fight for studio time. I'm talking to you in my studio right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can cut the mic on and go, or you can do X, Y, Z and go, and you still have that curiosity and that urge to pursue and put stuff out. And it might just be a thing on your Instagram page because you don't have a lot of luck with Spotify. You don't really want to, you know what I'm saying, like, try to deal with pressing up vinyl. So you might just feed your Instagram page, but you just go wherever you found your audience at, and just, you can penetrate some way. You'll be sure you'll be okay as long as you go where the love is, you know?
Indeed. Yeah, man. I've seen people say things like, I think it was like last week, Lupe was saying, yo, I'm about to record an album in 24 hours. Even though it didn't happen, it's like just that ability to be able to do that and actually make it happen. Like, I'm pretty sure people have done it before, that, you know, having things so accessible allows. Yeah. So I want to talk about this album. Let's start with the cover art. Don and Vaughn. There's like a kind of like a space imagery happening. It looks like you guys are seated on the moon and you're looking down at the world, the globe. Can you just talk about the significance of the cover art?
Well, you know,
you got it.
Okay. Well, you know, like, I mean, it's, for me, it's open to interpretation for one, but, you know, like, my interpretation of the cover is that there's a lot of noise happening in the corner of my apartment. That's weird. But my interpretation of the cover art is that, you know, like, we're just sitting back and admiring all of our hard work. You know what I'm saying? We're looking at the worlds we built, and we've just like, for once, we've kind of, because again, like if you tapped in for our albums up until now, up until you get what you pay for, there were always skits. There were always these devices that propel you through the album, and we you know, like we put a lot of hard work and effort into that, and it was just like for this album, we just kind of dropped. I won't say we dropped the facade, but you know what I'm saying? We just decided to go bare bones beats and rhymes, and like, you know, there is a through line. There's definitely a through line to the album, but it's not as like overt where it's just like a telethon or, you know, a record shop. It's just that. So with that, and you know, like the through line is a larger thing. Like if you look at Abandoned Theme Park, you know, that was in relation to kind of like a similar thing where it's just like, you know, we built a city, and then like in our minds, it was like, so what's the continuation of Brooklyn Natty? Do we abandon the city? Well, let's open the theme park up one more time, get on the rides, you know what I'm saying? And then like when you look at Don and Von, it's just we're admiring the work that we've done, as opposed to thinking that, you know, as opposed to thinking that we need to like keep frenetically building things. Like, no, let's take a minute to savor what we built, you know?
And it goes back to the whole idea of embracing becoming the elder statesman. It's like embracing what you've done, acknowledging what you've done. This is not a what do you call it when like a player, like a basketball player, like he's on his last run, like the victory lap or whatever. I forget what they call it, but this is not like a victory lap or like a, you know, hey, we're back to like reminisce so hard. It's like we're here, but we're also acknowledging everything we've done. We're not chasing anybody or anything else. Like we've created something for ourselves, and we're gonna hold it up to you, but show you that we're keeping it going too. Like it's not a, you know, this isn't, like I said, it's not we're not reminiscing on an album necessarily. It's like we're keeping it moving, but acknowledging what we've built, you know?
Right. And it's also like, and also it's that thing where, you know, like for so long, we've kind of like set ourselves apart, you know what I'm saying? Like through namesake or through like keeping tradition of albums alive and all that shit. Like, so for this one, it's just kind of like, it's the beginning of a new chapter, if you will. You know what I'm saying? We were toying around with the idea of like, if Tanya Morgan was like a Marvel in the Marvel Comics universe, or like what are the phases of Tanya Morgan? Like, and this is the beginning of something different, you know?
Nice. You know, hearing you guys explain the cover art in that way makes me have more appreciation for that last track, and I think it's called After School Special. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of what you are saying on that song is in line with your explanation of the cover, you know. So it makes me have greater appreciation for that track, and a lot of the other songs on the album as well. I feel like Brick Beats, which is a producer that has worked with you guys for, you know, throughout a lot of these years, like over the years, his sound has contributed significantly to the Tanya Morgan sound, right? His beats, with the samples, the loops, the soul. He delivers extremely well again with the track No Tricks,
Absolutely.
which is one of my favorite joints on the album. Like, what makes the chemistry between you all and Brick Beats work?
Don, you could handle that one.
Man, like, to be completely honest, I don't know. Like, I've known Brick since I was like 6 years old, since I was a kid. Like, I don't remember meeting Brick. We were like childhood friends, and like, you know, my mom told me to check him out because he made music. It was like it was one of those things where it was just like, your friend, so and so's son David makes music, and I was like, really? She's like, yeah, and he came over and gave me a beat tape, and it's been on ever since. But if I had to figure out like actually what it was, I think it's that, for me anyway, he captures the spirit of like what I grew up on. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like everything I've loved about Gangstar, DJ Premier, Dog Pound, Alcoholics, Black Moon. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like Cincinnati's a melting pot in general, and his sound is a melting pot of like all the different subgenres of hip hop in one. So you know what I'm saying? For me anyway, like I just can hear all of that when I listen to his stuff.
Dope.
Yeah, and I just want to add that Brick is really he's just a brilliant dude, honestly. Like he had an iPhone before iPhones. He damn near built an iPhone. Like you remember that, Don? Like he pulled out like a BlackBerry that like he was watching TV on it before that existed. It's like he's just like a mad scientist, man. And he'll just send you tracks and the song will almost write itself. Like I remember we on the last full-length album, we got the track that became Louder, and I just was like, I hit Don like, yo, and he's like, yo, did you hear that beat? And I was like, yes. We knew what beat we were talking about. It's like, yo, that's the one. And that song kind of just wrote itself. And the same thing happens with, I mean, No Tricks set this whole album off, and like,
wow,
Practice and like just so good, man. He just hit the nail on the head just every time.
Yeah, No Tricks actually happened. I don't remember when it was, but I know I was at home visiting Cincinnati, and I stopped by Brick's house to hang out, and he was playing me beats, and I was like, let's just do something now, and just on the spot, kind of like wrote the rhyme in like a couple minutes, and then he made the beat, and I just spit it, and I sent it to Vaughn, and Vaughn was like album mode.
Yeah, I really like the flavor to that track. Like you guys have a lot of like really fun, just chill out tracks. Then you guys have some meaningful tracks that go a little bit deeper. I just like the rounded feel of this album. I think it really speaks to kind of you guys looking back at your catalog, because I feel like it's an encompassing of a lot of what we've gotten over the years from Tanya Morgan. But the vibe just feels very free and relaxed. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
You know, the other aspect that I want to stress too is that we go to great lengths to make sure we sound updated and fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And we aren't necessarily leaning on what it is people know us for. I mean, like, sure, you know what I'm saying? We want to have that feel of like the last project or the project before or whatever, but we also want to slowly nudge the listener towards, you know, like new sonic palettes, like 18 or a joint like that is a one where you wouldn't have necessarily heard of 18 3 or 4 years ago from us.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. It's like always, you know, I look at you know, an artist that have been around for a while and they get to that point where they can take all of their albums and mush it together, but make something new out of it. And a big inspiration for me, funny enough, because they've been an inspiration my whole life, is the last Tribe Called Quest album, because it was like, yo, this is not, hey, remember this, remember that, there were referential things, like there's like, you know, the little sitar from Bonita Applebaum, like little things like that, but ultimately this sounded like some cats that love making music that have mastered what they do, and this is the tribe, you know, but this is not a bunch of part twos, you know what I mean? And that's something that inspired me, where it's like I want to be, as far as my production goes, I want to be the dude that you know and have messed with all this time, but I don't want to sound like I'm trying to make So Damn Down again, you know what I mean, or something like that. Because when I made So Damn Down, I wasn't trying to make We Be again or Stay Tuned again, and we just want to keep going. Like, okay, that same energy that made me make whatever people liked before, let me bring that same energy and not that same exact point of reference. And I feel like that's what keeps you going, man. You gotta have a passion for it, really. Like if you doing it just like some homework, like, hey man, let me put this out because I want to, you know, I'm gonna get some money from the label if I finish this album, then it's gonna kind of sound like that. But if you like, yo, I want to do this new song, I want to do this new record, let's knock this out, let's do this, then it'll sound like it, you know, it's gonna sound like it. That's something that you can't fake that.
You know, as you were talking about like your previous work and like just selecting certain songs, one of my favorite songs from you guys' catalog is Plan B. And I had liked that record because it just was such a, how you say, what's the word I'm looking for?
And that's Brick too.
Oh, word. It was an ambitious record. That's the word I want to say. It was ambitious because a lot of us grow up, even though we want to pursue dreams, we're always taught to have a plan B. And in hindsight, I just want to ask y'all, like, how has that worked for y'all? Like just the ability to stick to just your plan A and not rocking with the plan B. Like, how did that manifest at, just looking back in hindsight of your career? Like, how did it eventually work out?
John, I could just add something on real quick. It's really easy, man. I did go through a time period where I was trying to push music to the back, but it's a part of who you are. If you look at it like, I'm trying not to sound like, artsy fartsy or whatever, but it really is just a part of who you are. It's like if you like playing pool, you're gonna find time to play pool. Like if you love sports, you're gonna find time to watch that game. And with us, we just love making music, and we're lucky that we picked up a crowd that wants to hear that music we make. That's really all it comes down to. Because I think back on the time when I was trying to act like I wasn't an artist, and I was miserable. But when it's like, yo, I don't care if I'm at my 9 to 5 or whatever. When I get home, I need to go work on that beat. On my lunch break or whatever I'm doing, I want to be coming up with that rhyme or that next idea. Then I'm gonna text Don, yo, I got a crazy idea, or vice versa. And that's just a part of you. So there can't really be a plan B when it's a part of you. Honestly.
Yeah, like there's a level of like you can't necessarily repress your identity to the point where like it can't happen. Like it'll surface in other ways. You know what I'm saying? Either you honor what your passion is and what your drive is, or it'll find a way to be be honored. You know what I mean? So, but like in terms of like plan A, and not having a plan B, I think that sometimes when you get so far into plan A, like the plan Bs start to like form around whatever your plan A is. So you know what I'm saying? Like but like for me, I'm a DJ a lot, and DJing came from plan A. It literally just came from like, I want to keep playing music as much. I wanted to be around music as much as possible. What else can I do? I can DJ. I can like surround myself in music to the point where I don't have a life. but I just like my life is just whatever it is. But yeah, like I think that overall, even if you have a job, like a day job, a 9 to 5, or like there's something that takes the bulk of your time, that don't mean it's a plan A. It just means that it's human survival is real. You got to pay bills. You got to do X, Y, Z. You can't not take care of yourself. You can't sacrifice to the point where you're not taking care of yourself. But if the plan is to always work on this other thing, it don't matter how you come around to it. It matters that you do it. You know what I'm saying?
Well said.
Bro.
Well said. So I want to go back to track number 3, No Tricks. Like, what inspired this song title? What is it? What ultimately is it about?
I got it.
You can go ahead. You can.
I got it. Well, it's one of those. It's really like the thing that the rapper does. You hear the sample, and a sample says something, and you follow the sample. But we could have just rapped around it. But made it No Tricks is like when I think about No Tricks, it's like no gimmicks. And I know the name is Tanya Morgan, and a lot has been said about that, but the name has been Tanya Morgan 17 years now. Like it's not, we're not Gallagher smashing watermelons and like, you know, it's like you don't come to see us because hey, they got a funny name. You come to see us because the show is dope. They can rap. The music is dope. We're not like a gimmick. So it's like it's no tricks. It's just another way. For me, it's like another way of saying it's no gimmicks. This is what we do. It's like, for lack of a better term, it's raw. You know what I mean?
Got it. No, that makes sense, man. I always like to find out, the meanings to certain songs, especially when I don't know what it is, but sometimes it's just loose like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can dig it. So also in this song, No Tricks, Don, you say you're the antisocial socialite. And Vaughn, you say you're the antisocial loner guy. Now, I understand how that works for you, Vaughn, but how does the antisocial socialite work, Don?
It's because people don't necessarily know how, I guess, introverted I am. Like I don't really go places, man. Like and like I go places for gigs, or I go places to go to people like shows that I'm working at. But for the most part, I'll be at home. Like I don't be at the bar hanging out. I don't be like just posted somewhere. I'll be at home. Like I pay a lot of rent. I like my couch. It's nice. You know what I'm saying? And even with that, like there's a level of just there's a level of like awkwardness that you know what I'm saying? Like I definitely know how to like carry a conversation, know how to like be a person and when you meet me in the streets and shit. But there's this level of just like, you catch a person, how you can catch a person on like an off day. I have a lot of off days where I just kind of be in my head about stuff. And I'm kind of, especially after post quarantine, I'm kind of bad at small talk. Like I like to get right to the deep. I'm not really trying to talk about what's up, what you like. I just want to know. I want to go to the deep part of the pool. If I can't go there, there's nothing to really talk about. And like I think that in a sense can cause some awkwardness because people aren't really comfortable in that with that level of just kind of like dialogue where like you immediately just want to know the realness of the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Got it.
So yeah, I'll be at home. That's
And I'll add on to that. Yeah, he, like you said, he did his part first, and us like at this point we are like legit family. You know what I mean? So I was like, I know exactly what he meant when he said that. And I'm on the flip side. It's like, I've met people through the years that might have thought I was rude or whatever, but I'm a loner by nature. Like I said, I'm here. I came back to Brooklyn for a minute with my family, but I was like, I left everybody and just went and sat on the bench and had a ball. I had a blast. Like, how do you have so much fun sitting on the bench by yourself? If you're a loner, you know how.
Exactly.
So I was like, I know exactly who he is because when we used to go out and be at, industry events or whatever, like, like trying to, link and build, as people like to say, when we used to, do that a lot more early days. Don is the more outgoing one.
Right.
And I honestly just if he's there, then I can just have him there too. I can be right behind him, like, yeah, what's up? Nice to meet you too. Not because I'm rude, but just because I'm super like loner mode. And so I went with what I said just to juxtapose what he was saying, because like that's exactly who he is, and that's exactly who I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like this song describes us to a T in a weird way. Because again, Bond's the type of person that like he'll just leave. Like if we're somewhere together and I don't see him for 30 minutes, he's gone. It's not even like what happened. It's just like, oh, he left. Like people are like, yo, what happened to Bond? He left.
I got a reputation for that. That's my reputation. They call it the Irish goodbye. Or something like, shout out to Fresh Deli. He'll be like, oh, you pulled the Von P.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I'm the type of person that like, I don't know how to leave, but I absolutely want to leave.
Yeah.
Like I'm the type, I gotta make a full lap around and say goodbye to everybody, and like that's a whole thing. And then like I'm stuck in the room still, as opposed to just walking out. I'm always like,
Yeah, I think it's good when you can find the balance. Like you guys can each other. Like maybe you could cut, Don Will, you cut down on, doing the whole, going around the room before you leave, and Vaughn, maybe open up a little bit. But either way, it works. You know what I mean? Because I totally get where you coming from, Vaughn. Like sometimes just creeping out the back door, just walking out, it saves you from so much stuff. You know how much can happen in like, leaving and say you got to go dap it up to 10 people. A lot could happen in that time frame that you weren't expecting or you didn't want.
Yo, you could sign up for something you ain't really want to do. All of a sudden you on 5 more songs that you just signed up to be on 5 new songs, and you bumped somebody's drink and knocked it over by mistake. Now you got to go help them get a new drink, and it's too much, man. It's like Curb Your Enthusiasm, man. I'm just leaving.
You just cut it down to like 5 as opposed to 10. You know what I mean? And you just find your way out. Yeah.
And I will say the few times I have done the Von P, it's felt fantastic. Like it's just been like you get outside and you're like, oh man, I didn't have to say, but I'm outside now.
Right. Yeah. I know like a thing people say is like, when you miss me, I'm gone. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of like your informal way of saying I'm out, but you weren't rude. You know what I mean? At least you gave a heads up ahead of time. So I'm glad that y'all broke that down, because that line really stands out, because you guys both start your verses with the whole antisocial line, and then it just kind of stands out from that point, but it made me chuckle a little bit when I heard it. So in the hook to the song We Go High, Vaughn, we hear you sing the words, we go high and stay up there. And you also say, I can't see that low, but you mention a variety of artists singing as well. They can't see that low, right? Mm-hmm. What inspired you to reference these artists for this concept?
Yeah, that one, I was trying to name a bunch of artists that we've toured with, that we've done slightly more, not obscure features, but like people that we don't work with as much, people that we may have worked with one time, because we have, like, if you look at the track list, there's people that we've worked with a bunch of times. We always work with Spec Boogie, aka Rob Cave, that's Legendary Fam, Shay Grand, Jack Davey. We used to be signed with on the same label as Jay Davey. There's a lot of people that we cross paths with all the time, and we built up a rapport, and we always work with them. And then there's also people that you may have never heard us on a song with, or heard us on one song with, or you don't even know that's our people, but it's always love when we see each other, even if we've never stepped in a studio. So everybody I name is somebody that either we got one song with, or we've been on tour with, or it's like the homie when we run across each other on tour. Like, I see you at South by Southwest somewhere and we kick it, and I see you in London somewhere and we chop it up, but you've never heard us on the song necessarily. So cats like that. And also people that I don't always remember to shout out, to be honest. Like, I have a lot of stuff with the other guys, but I shouted them out. We got like 1 or 2 songs with Nitty Scott, shouted her out. We Pigeon John, we've toured with Pigeon John once or twice, shouted him out. And just, like just trying to, people that I didn't want to be like, yo, Shay Grand, Ilias, like this, the people that I shout out all the time, like Legendary. I was like, let me reach out and show love to like these people that may not think, like Mega Ran hit me up actually, like, yo, I heard that, thanks for the shout. People that may not expect to hear their name on a record, but they know that we're peoples, but it's like, yo, that was kind of random. I wasn't expecting that. So just a nod, like, we still see you. We rock with you, I may not have spoken to you since 2014 or something, but you know how it go. But yo, salute to you, whoever is on a, in the hook. It's just like a love thing, showing love.
That's dope, man. Maybe y'all do a record where y'all highlighting like interviewers over. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just messing with y'all. But tell me why you also say I can't see that low and they can't see that low.
Yeah, with Maruf's verse, he started his with kind of like a reference to the Michelle Obama quote, "When they go low, we go high." But my thing wasn't that. My thing was just like, it's like just another way to say like we up, like we not worried about another creative way to say I'm doing my thing. I'm not worried about a hater. Pretty much like just finding another way to say that. Because you've heard that in a million rap songs. Yo, I'm doing me, not worried about the haters. But if I say we go high, we going this way, and I can't see that low. Like whatever the peanut gallery, whatever they talking about, whatever they, texting their friends on the side or DMing people like, you see this new album? Them dudes is whack. Like, whatever. It's you gotta have some haters. Like like they say, you gotta have some haters. But you know what? We can't see that low. And the people we rock with, you keep yourself around the right people. Like you vibe with the right people. So like, yo, I can't see that low. Whoever can't Psalm 1, she can't see that low. Blah blah blah. They can't see that low. Out of sight can't see that low. Nicolay, he can't see that low. Cause we all, we focus. We not worried about what the peanut gallery talking about. We going high. You know what I mean? And it's not a we're better than you. It's like we focus. You worried about me? We focus. Can't see that low.
Nah, that makes a lot of sense, man. I really appreciate that explanation. Don, you say on that song as well, you're making what you want, when you want to, how you want to. How does that freedom benefit you overall as a creative?
Well, like I was saying earlier, my solo stuff is always a little bit divergent. So for me, it just feels good to not be beholden to someone telling me that I can't do a thing. And not like on some like, you can't do this, me wrong. Like you contractually or physically cannot do this because if you do, we'll have lawyers or blah, blah, blah. That's what the creativity is in it for me. Like if I can't go off to the side and like write my little sketchbook and do like my little weird drawings and then come back with a cool, like, yo, Vaughn, look at this thing. This would be dope. It might have took me 10 sketches to get to this, but look at this. This is fucking fire. And Vaughn's like, yeah, let's try this. There's just a lot of freedom in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you said it best, man. It feels good to be able to try things without feeling like you can fail. You know what I'm saying? Or feeling like failure is just part of the process. Because again, like I believe in failure. You know what I'm saying? Half of the reason why I'm sitting here talking to you today is because we failed enough until somebody was like, oh, okay, that's right. You fail enough until you get it right. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed. Now, my favorite track on the album is Fresh Lemonade, produced by Clint Taylor. The verse, yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Clint. The first verse spoken by you, Vaughn, is a story about a 10-year-old boy who's out selling candy, but gets an unfortunate response when he approaches a neighboring woman's home. This woman happens to be a Karen. But the interesting part is that when this woman calls the cops on the boy, the cop comes to the defense of the child in a very heroic way. And Karen doesn't get her way as she usually does in this society. What made you switch it up and present the police officer in this positive light? You're muted.
Thank you. To be full disclosure, we finished this album late 2019. It was set to be out a year ago, 2020, but you know what happened in 2020. So it got pushed back. But another thing that happened in 2020, this was before the whole defund the police discussion and like that whole idea really, really took off. And the solution I had at the time was, y'all keep talking about these cops of the neighborhood that know the neighborhood, that be in the neighborhood. Well, what does that look like? What does that sound like? And so it was like, yo, okay, well, let's say this cop is of the neighborhood. You know this little kid. You know he goes around selling candy, blah, blah, blah. You know the people that live around here. So let's see if this actually works, you know what I'm saying? This whole officer of the neighborhood, what does that look like? So, and then I think about like people that I'm from Bed-Stuy, and you've heard Sky Zoo's new album. You've heard so many people from so many places talk about when they spot gets gentrified and people start calling the cops on the culture, like literally calling the cops on the culture. So part of growing up, you get on the train. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm selling candy for a basketball team. Blah, like that's a part of what we do. This kid is knocking on doors, and if you listen to my verse and take it in, it's a lot of like. She says, "Yo, there's a teen at my door," and it's the whole speaking to like they see black boys as, "Oh, you a grown man. You're not the little innocent child," versus somebody else could be 25 and shoot 20 people. He's a kid that lost his way. But if I'm one of us at 10 years old, we might as well be the brother standing here with the facial hair. You know what I mean? So not seeing us as kids, not seeing us as innocent, not seeing us as an entrepreneur. The little kid is a businessman. He's trying to, it don't matter what he's selling the candy for. He's trying to make some honest money. He's not doing what you think he's doing through your eyes. He's not trying to break in your house. She physically assaults him. She touches, like, just think about your mom. Somebody got their hand on you. Get your hand off my baby. You know what I mean? This woman grabs the kid, holds him. He's the one that's scared. And she's making him a villain. She's the villain. The cop comes. The cop sees what's happening because the cop knows this kid. And it's like, yo, that's so-and-so. He lives up the street. What's going on here? Like, leave him alone. And then he looks to the kid and he's like, do you want to press charges? You're a person. You can press charges too. I also work for you. I'm like, so, all right, well, let's look into this. Unfortunately, this utopian world where the right thing happens. And what does that look like? And, things just continue in the same direction. And like, I was worried about that song coming out and it sounded like I was like trying to apologize for the police or whatever. But I'm happy that people hear it and realize that that's not what I'm doing. And especially where Don went with it, Don he zooms out on my verse. You know what I mean? Like he kind of tells the further story. He like, I start with this Karen and her neighbor trying to sell her candy. Should be this cute little innocent kid, and you turn him into Monster Cody. And Don is like, you moved here, you playing DMX, you like, you want to be in cool hip New York until cool hip New York disturbs you at 9:30 when you're trying to watch Friends or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's the story.
No, I mean, I think you really nailed it with this one, and you too as well, Don. Like, even though your verse is not as much as in story format at like Von's verse, like the elements that you add to it really completes it. Like it makes it whole. Like, you give context to some of the real tragedies that have happened. When you talk about individuals that didn't make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In real life. So yeah, it's such a powerful record, man. Like, I love the beat, and the fact that you guys were able to write to it so well, and paint a picture that can resonate with reality so well. I think is a great
Well, like my bad.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like there's this quote about how sometimes in some respects we know white people better than white people know themselves. You know what I'm saying? And like because we deal with the shit that they probably haven't even dealt with about themselves. You know what I'm saying? So when you just think about like the person that she don't like whoever it is, she just thinks that, oh, I'll call the police because there's a noise disturbance. She's not thinking about the fact that can be disruptive in 1,000,001 different ways. It's not as simple as you being inconvenienced and just wanting the volume outside being down. It's more so.
Let me just add this. Like my wife says, and of course we, generalizing overall. She's like, white people use the police like a concierge. It's like, hey, I have a minor inconvenience. Come deal with it. Now, for us, what we've seen in HD on our screens for forever is that becomes dangerous for us. But you use them like a damn concierge. Like, hey, I have a minor inconvenience. Come deal with it. And then somebody can end up dead or super disrespected at the very least.
So, yeah, it's just that thing where it's just like my verse was more or less just like, I see you and I know exactly what you're doing, and you might not even know what you're doing, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to call you out on it because it's not cute. You know what I'm saying? Like, niggas is out here dying and getting like life in prison and doing all kinds of crazy shit because you just wanted your neighborhood to be quieter, which you moved to a loud neighborhood. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just don't really compute, but it's just a symptom of gentrification. Like Vaughn was saying earlier, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody addresses it. Every artist who's from and of like the city has addressed it because it's not a thing that's gonna stop happening until developers stop being greedy, which again, it's not a thing that'll stop happening.
You call the cops on the culture, man. Everything that makes New York what it is why you want to be here. And then you start chipping away at it. You know what I mean?
I had to just take a look just to remember the project. Your album City for Sale, Vaughn, really taps into gentrification, particularly in Brooklyn. And as you said, Sky Zoo's recent album has tapped into it,
Yeah, we spoke. I said this in the previous interview, but yeah, me and Scott had spoke because he hit me. He's like, yo, I'm literally working on that too. And he's like, yo, I'm taking it there. And he's like, yo, wait till you hear what I got to say. You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm setting my clock. Let's go. You know what I mean? Because it's like I have my way, and he has his like crazy poetic way. And then, somebody going through it in Oakland, they have their way, and Chicago has their way. And like, I want to hear from everybody because let's not ignore it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just so interesting too. Like around the time that you put out City for Sale, he had put out Retropolitan with Pete Rock.
We were interviewing at the same time. We did an interview together, and that's how we had the conversation. Because he was like, yo, like we were talking about our two albums in like a little round table kind of thing. Yeah, and he's like, yo, I'm working on this new album that's like, it's you can damn near make it a companion piece to yours. You know what I mean?
Wow. But what's interesting is that you guys always reference the sty.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up near the sty. So like a lot of the things y'all reference.
Down to the coordinates, man.
Yeah, the the streets. Even the album cover, you got the theater, the slave theater that's no longer on Fulton Street. Like I think I made a post years back and I was like, yo, Vaughn and Sky Zoo are making like music about Brooklyn in a way that only if you're from Brooklyn, like from that era too, like the era that I grew up in, you talking about 90s, that's my whole growing up. You know what I mean? Restoration Plaza, like that's growing up,
Yeah.
And you guys are referencing these areas, and I'm like, I can connect with it, you know what I mean? Because I grew up in that environment.
I was having a conversation the other day about like just in general, and it's coded language. Like when you look at the cover art of Vaughn's joint or like Sky Zoo's joint, like that cover art might just look cool to somebody, but like for like you or the right person, that cover art means a million. It says a million different things. You know what I'm saying? Or it says one specific thing where it's just like, oh, that is the building that they built right there, and it didn't need to be there. Or it's like, man, the slave theater is gone. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some people that don't know what the slave theater is, but for a person that does, that cover art almost deserves to be in a frame on a wall. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when I saw his cover, like if you were to go to his Instagram and look at like when he first put that cover out, I replied like, yo, this says so much and I can hear everything it's saying to me right now. Like his cover, like I can hear what you're saying to the kid. I can hear what the people walking by are saying. Like this is saying so much, and I know what used to go on that corner, where his cover is based on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I know what you're telling the kid, and I also know what you can't tell the kid yet that used to happen around there. And like, I can see my life just through that one picture on his cover. You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's coded, and it's a lot of mutual respect, you know, between myself and Sky because of that, you know, that coded language and having a lot kind of growing up the same way, you know?
Yeah. Wow, man. As I'm thinking about it, I'm like, man, if y'all two do a project together, that might be interesting to see. You know what I mean? Just the dynamics of Brooklyn and the style that you guys keep so authentically in your music. So the song So Good, which is, I believe it's one of the singles. Don, you have a line where you say, work with faves and stayed away from idols till my working wage was matching the job titles. Can you explain, you know, what you meant by that line?
You know, they say never meet your idols. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like it's a saying, and the few times that I have met idols, I have not been disappointed. But I think it's because I understand also how to just keep it moving. I'm not asking for a favor. I'm not doing anything other than like showering you with respect and like adulation and being on my way. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely not overstaying my welcome because again, like nobody, like when you've built a person up to a certain level in your mind, there's no way they can live up to that. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to actually making music, that's what the quote was about. When it comes to making music and like trying to do stuff with people, you know, it's better when you pull laterally, or you know what I'm saying, pull people that's on your level, because then y'all elevate together versus trying to hang on to somebody and like they can't pull you up. You know what I'm saying? You might not be able to what they got up there might not be for you down here. Versus if you just huddle in with your folks, y'all all go up together. So, you know, that goes back to Von's shout out reel. We Go High. Like, it's just like, he's shouting out faves, he's shouting out homies, he's shouting out people who, you know, we the people who like our friends, the people who we go to when it's time to like do something that, you know, some community effort shit versus asking people, yo, you think you could like hook me up with, or like, would you be down to? No, just do it.
You know what you don't want to do, and this I've thought about this for a long time, and it's changed whatever trajectory we were on maybe 10 years ago. It helped me, like, if we both steer in this car, but it helped me be like, whatever we do, we steering in this direction. I realize you don't want to be the person that they only interview to ask about somebody else.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that cat that's like, yo, so again, I ain't saying no names, but it's like, yo, tell us about what was it like when you was in the studio with so-and-so when y'all made this? And what was he like when y'all made that? And what was it like when y'all made that? And then what did he say when y'all made this? And they're not asking you anything about what you do, what you contribute. They're like, tell us more stories about that guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, we've been that's another thing we've been trying to do. We don't want to be like, yo, let me tell you about when I was working with Michael Jackson, and then I worked with Michael Jackson this year, and I worked with Michael Jackson that year. They know. Let's talk about what we're trying to do, and if that's not interesting, cool.
And that's not to say if the opportunity to work with like Pharrell. I just like for namesake, like Pharrell is probably like one of my favorite musicians, artists, personalities of all time. So Pharrell was like, hey, I heard Don and Von, we should do something. Absolutely. Like, it's not even like a thing where I'll be like, well, you're an idol, I don't ever want to work. It's just I don't aspire to work with anybody but people that inspire me on a local level. You know what I'm saying? Like Cooley High bars out. They're such a super dope group. They inspire me and I can touch them. You know what I'm saying? So why not work with them as opposed to like, sure, Nas is inspirational or Jay-Z is inspirational, but like I don't aspire to be like one day I'm gonna have Nas on a song. If it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't happen, I got Charlie Sparks and Tab One. You know what I'm saying?
And I think it's fair to say, I want you to know who we are. You know what I mean? Because like there's been opportunities. There's been opportunities to do songs with plenty of people. Like there were people like, y'all can call in this favor, this person to do this for this super discount, blah blah blah. But I'm like, if you're gonna do it and be like, yo, I'm on a song with Tanya Morgan right now, I don't want to do it. You know, like I want you to rock with her, like to like know what we do and it makes sense, and not just you did this as a favor. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's an ego thing. I think that's just trying to keep it on a genuine level, because to keep it real, I felt bad in the past when, like, if I do something with somebody that I wasn't familiar with, and then I was like, I take the time to go dig into what they do. So now I'm like, I'm in your zone now versus, you know, let me look at the sheet of paper. Who's this I'm doing this for right now? Okay, blah, 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 blah. And you know, that, you know, down to, you know, we have unreleased stuff with people like Drake and stuff like that, but he knows who we are. And that's all that matters. Like, let's hit a zone together, and let's not phone it in. Let's do our best to not phone it in. You know what I mean? It happens sometimes, but
I get it. Don, can you tell me, you know, what you meant when you said, you know, getting to a place where your working wage was matching your job title?
Well, you know, it's just that whole like dress for the job you want, not the job you have type mentality, where it's just, you know, being able to have, like, me and Vaughn, we talk a lot about this stuff. Like we have a group chat. We talk a lot about stuff like this. I don't know why I'm prefacing the conversation with the conversation, but like just knowing your price and being confident in your price and not necessarily wavering from your price. If people are like, yo, what's your rate? What's your fee or whatever? You know, like you've lived in your body and worked in your art form for long enough to know exactly how much you not deserve, but how much you require to do a thing. And it's not like on some ego shit. It's not like, oh, it's just McDonald's decides to charge X amount of dollars for their burgers because that's how much it costs. MacBooks cost this much because they cost that much. And a verse from me or a beat from me or my DJ set will cost this much because that's how much my time is worth. You know what I'm saying? And like the other thing too that a lot of people don't necessarily think about is that time is the one thing that you can't get back.
Right.
And you know, like no matter how much money you're getting for a thing, like the basic ask is just like, do I want to do this thing? And the ability to just be able to decide not to do something is major. So you know what I'm saying? Like even the working wage thing, it's not always about money. Sometimes it's just about, do I want to spend my time? Will it be spending my time or wasting my time? Like what's the value proposition for me? You know?
Got it. Would you say that the job title is actually a representation of what your full worth is?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, you know, like, cause again, it's metaphorical. It's not like we're multi-hyphenates. It's not like, you know, we do one thing and we are known for one thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, so again, there are people who don't know my rap music at all. And they just know me as a DJ or they know me as whatever. But that doesn't mean that, you know, if they come over to that world that, you know, they can charge me that I don't know you, right? Or they can treat me like just a person that's not a valuable part of that community. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's definitely a representation.
Definitely, man. Thanks for explaining that. Moving right along, the tracks Intermission Routine and A-Team, and pretty much any like Von P produced beat, you hear this signature Tanya Morgan baseball batting sound effect. And I never got a chance to ask you all about that. I mean, in my previous interview, I didn't get a chance to ask y'all about that. Like, what's the story behind how that sound effect came to be and how, you know, it became a staple sound in you guys' music?
Rashad Tumbling Dice Smith. Shout out to Rashad Smith, Tumbling Dice. I started making beats when I was 14. The first song I heard that made me want to make beats is a song called Mind Power, or for Beats, Rhymes, and Life from A Tribe Called Quest. And if you're a Tribe fan, you're a Busta fan. If you're a Busta fan, then you know he works with Rashad Smith a lot. And I don't think it was ever on a Busta track, but Rashad Smith used to have like a sound effect of dice hitting the floor or hitting the whatever dice. And I was like, yo, I like that. I want to have a tag. Like everybody has tags now, but I don't think in the 90s, I could be wrong. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody really had a beat tag in the 90s. Like it was Rashad Smith with the dice, and then maybe like Track Masters, like if you count that. But then we had like Just Blaze, and now if you hear a song, it'll have 15 beat tags on it. Like you would think the first verse is on, it's just all the beat tags of the producers that made the beat. But this is kind of embarrassing, especially where where I ended up. But when I was in high school, I thought I was going to be one of the hitmen, like Puffy's hitmen. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna be making hits one day. I'm gonna have platinum and gold plaques, and that's who I thought I was gonna be. But I went with who I am for real. So the whole thing was, yo, I'm gonna use a baseball bat sound. Another hit. And it sounds funny now to know that I'm like this super like underground dude, and my beat tag means another hit when I don't have any hits. But yeah, that's what it goes back to high school. It's inspired by Rashad Smith and his tumbling dice sound. And when I was in high school, like one day I'm gonna make, I think the first beat I made, I might have got that sound effect and made that it's like a stock baseball sound, and it's mixed with a crowd sound from like one of the records I had. Like I took a crowd sound and then I recorded just like out my window and just put it all together. And I've been using that same backcrack sound from 98, 99.
I was gonna ask you, have you ever changed the backcrack sound? Is it literally
no.
MP3 file, WAV file from 99?
I almost did once because somebody made a bootleg Ninth Wonder beat pack. Like these drum packs.
Yeah.
And it's like it wasn't an official Ninth Wonder, but it's like somebody made like a bootleg Ninth Wonder drum pack, and like the first snare is the back crack. And I got so mad. I was like, this don't even make sense. How was my beat tag in a bootleg Ninth Wonder drum kit? You know what I mean? Like I don't know who did that, but I was like, yo, I'm about to change my sound. And then also there's a B.O.B. song with Andre 3000 that has that same stock sound in it, but it's the stock sound without the little things I added, but it's the same exact, like it's the same thing. So I'm like, man, this is my sound. I should have went with something that I made from scratch. That's my only regret. But at this point, I've been using it more than 20 years, and
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like it's on so many of your records that like just that amount of times that it's used,
yeah,
cats are gonna associate it with you. And as you were talking about it, like I remember the first record. I think the reason why it stuck with me is the record "Stay Tuned" that's on the Sunset EP.
mm-hmm.
I had loved that record so much, and like that was my first time hearing it. And it just, like when you hear a record that you really like, everything that comes with that record tends to stick.
Yep.
And that sound effect stuck. And it just became this thing that I would hear over the years. But I never really thought too much about it. But in the back of your head, like, yo, that's Tanya Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even realize that it was signature for just your beats.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I just felt like it was just something that you would hear on any Tanya Morgan record, whatever, no matter the beat, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's become a staple sound of yours. So yeah, I'm glad that you broke that down.
And shout out to some people think it's pool balls breaking. Some people say it sounds like that.
It
But
does sound like that.
That works too. I mean, hey, that it's setting the game off. It's setting it off. So that works too. But
Yeah.
you know, my teenage self, I started using it because I thought I was gonna be making hits, but I stuck with it. The first time I used it was on Stay Tuned. That's why I started like batting. That's like the first time.
I remember the reason why I associated with a bat is because you would say batting, like I would hear you say that. Indeed. So, I wanted to just take it a little bit back to ask you all about the other member of the group that you guys initially started with, Ilyas. Like, what's the status with your relationship with him today? Are you guys working with him in some other capacity outside of Tanya Morgan? Like, what's the deal with
Well,
what's going on?
Sorry. Well, right now, the last thing we spoke about as far as creatively was he wants to help us with he wants to help us with a video for the new album.
Dope.
So you know that he has the album, he heard it and he likes it, and he wants to do like some video work for it because he's heavy into like video work and like visual animation, like computer animation and stuff like that. And we just trying to figure out what song is gonna be like how we're gonna do it, with what song. And that's kind of still that's Tanya Morgan, you know what I mean? Because it's like, but yeah, still the homie.
Funny that I called him this morning. He didn't pick up, but I called him this morning just to call him. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't want anything. It was just wild. It was like 8 o'clock in the morning. Though. It was wild early because let's be calling people super early in the morning. But outside of that, man, like we honestly, we just talk like homies. Like we're just friends. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it is due to like him musically being in a different space. Like the music he makes is very different than the music that he was making with Tanya Morgan.
Right.
I mean, when I like the quality is still there, the rapping is still there, but it's just a different. It's like a whole different subgenre of rap. So you know, like that was what he wanted to do. That's not to say he still pops up. Like he popped up on my solo album, One Word No Space. He popped up on that. He'll pop up from time to time. Like if you gotta twist his arm and send him the right track. Like I sent him one joint and he flat out was like, nah, I'm not rapping. But it goes both ways because he sent me a joint and I was just like, nope, I'm not rapping on that. Like me and him, the one thing me and him have, and I think that honestly, him leaving the group was part of what helped maintain it. Is just we have a very candid relationship. Like he'll call me one day and like on my birthday, we talked for like an hour because he told me, I forget what verse it was, but he was like, you'll never do a better verse than that. I'm like, man, that verse is like 10 years old. What are you talking about?
Wasn't it Camp Cupcake?
Yes, it was Camp Cupcake off of a project from like one of me and Brick Beats did a whole project. And I just recently put it out, but like he loves that song and he's just like, man, you'll never do another verse better than that. It's like we had like this really long, drawn out like debate about like me rapping in general. And I'm just like, I was like, tell me 5 other songs that you like by me. And like it was like this whole thing, back and forth thing. So long story short, I dedicated this. I was calling him to tell him that I dedicated this album to him because I'm like, now tell me, am I rapping better? You know what I'm saying? We just have like that, but that was how our relationship started. Like we used to, we started out not really being good friends. We would battle a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like we were definitely like sparring partners. Like our relationship was built on like steel sharpening steel and making sure like each other was on point lyrically. So he's one of the few like don't get it twisted. Don't nobody call me debating the best verse. Like I'm not having that conversation with you. I'll have it with Ilyas. I will have it with my damn near blood brother Ilyas. But I'm absolutely not letting somebody tell me I'm not rapping right. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Nah.
right.
But you need that. You know what I'm saying?
Word. I think it's dope that y'all still both have a mutual respect and love. You know what I mean, for him and his vice versa, man. So
Yeah.
thanks for talking about that. So I want to get back to another track on the album. You guys mentioned it earlier. It's track number 8 entitled 18. Why did y'all equate yourselves to being like members on the 18?
Oh, actually, it's not like that A team. It's
Okay. Oh, see, I
yeah,
went.
it's not the A team. It's like it's the A team, like Team A, like the first pick.
Oh, okay, got
Like we, yeah, like it wasn't like Mr. T and them. It's more like we've been first round draft picks. So yeah, it's more that like trash talking. Like we've been on the A team. Please get out of step out the way. And what happened with that was actually I was doing like a reference track. I was trying to come up with an idea, and I sent that to Don as is. Like the first thing I did was I was mumbling, "We've been on the A team, knock them out the way, please, 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 knock them out the way." Rap dope for rap folks, and I just like put something together and like, okay, this is what the flow is gonna sound like, something like this. And I was like, all right, cool. Now I gotta like really do a verse for real. And Don is like, yo, don't touch that verse, don't touch that hook, leave everything, leave it. You did it right the first time. So he stopped me from overthinking it. But that was really like made the track. And that was like, it was almost like a mumble reference, but with words.
right.
And I'm like, I'm going to fix that and do a real verse and come up with a real hook. And he's like, no, leave it. Leave that. That is it.
Yeah, it captured a mood. You know what I'm saying? And like, even if you listen, like it's reflected in my verse. There's just like it's a general tone that is set. And with what I did writing wise and just delivery wise, it was just
Yeah.
Like, trying to like get into that mood because like a lot of people may or may not know we don't necessarily record our music in the same places. You know what I'm saying? Like we mail tracks a lot, email tracks a lot, or like send tracks to each other a lot. We'll talk about the song and communicate heavily about what's going on. It's not like some blind taste test where he just sends me a verse and then I'm like, oh, okay, and I'll send him something. Like it's discussed, but it's it's done remotely. So
Yeah. Now I was saying I'm glad that y'all explained that because I don't know why I just saw the A Team like the classic TV show, but it makes sense. So in a way, I feel bad for asking it like that, but you cleared it up because I feel like maybe somebody else might see it that way too.
As you say that, the dash that's the A team name because it's the A dash team.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
So that's one of those things where probably could have thought about that a little bit more. Just had like A without the dash because I think the dash makes it the TV show. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Yeah. I think that's might be what it is. You were gonna say, Don? You were gonna finish?
I lost my thought.
Forgot.
It comes back. You could jump in. So Vaughn, on the end of your verse from that song A Team, you say you made a living out of dreaming, and it ain't. Is that Don?
That's Don. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I messed up. All right, so Don, you say you made a living out of dreaming, and it ain't that
bad.
Yeah.
That bad. What were some things you had to do to make that living happen? Like where would you say the bulk of your financial stability came from? If you could share a little bit.
I mean, first off, just 9 to 5s, just figuring out how to balance the artistic vision with just the responsibilities of being an adult in the world. And part of that was learning how to manage money. Part of that was learning how to manage my time. And then from that point forward, it was figuring out, various side hustles that fit into the grid of what I was trying to accomplish. So for a while I was writing articles for things, or I was, picking up seasonal work during the holiday season when I wasn't touring or something. You know what I'm saying? Like just doing little things to make sure that I had money in my account, and when we did go on the road or when things were slim, I had like a little cushion. But then it turns into like figuring out mobile things or like figuring out ways that you can figuring out ways to make money that are extensions of what you currently do. So it might be something like, I don't know, like a podcast theme or DJing a gig. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just figuring out it's figuring out ways to continue to be creative at a high level and not necessarily stilt your financial income. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. You know, as you mentioned podcasts, I know that you have a podcast entitled The Book of Rhymes.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of artists recently enter into that space. Like, you know, they start out as artists first and then they become podcasters. Like, how has, you know, podcasting helped the overall success of your career? Like where has it benefited you?
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's necessarily helped. I would say that it's just been like just an extension. It's just like, because again, like you can put out music every day, but I don't think the quality will be. I don't know. Like for me, I'm not going to generalize. I'm going to say specifically me. I go through periods where I just don't. I need a break.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and you can ask Vaughn. Like Vaughn can verify. There'll be months where I just won't do anything. I won't write raps. I won't make beats. I'll just be living life. And I you know, like the podcast thing more than anything gave me something to do, but it also gave me a reason to stay inspired. So, you know, like talking to Homeboy Sandman or talking to Pharaoh Mantra, whoever I'm talking to, like talking to them about their music and the creation of music and like the thing we're most passionate about kind of fuels me in a way. And it wasn't like I've had podcasts before that. I kind of do them and then walk away from. But I'll pick something up, do it for a little while. I'm like, all right, I'm done with that. I don't feel like doing that anymore. And it's not like the thing that I want to make sure that I'm on top of and that people understand is that I'm a musician first. I'm a rapper first. I'm a producer first. All these things, that's my engine. And all the stuff I do surrounding that is in service of that. It's not necessarily like, it's not like on some like, I'm going to do this, drop this rap record so I can become the host of Extra on
Right.
News 11. It's like, no, I'm doing that so that somebody will like Google, like do some research to find out there's a really dope record on the other end of that. And I don't want to get, again, like this might be backwards logic, but I don't want to get too far into anything to where I get lost and removed from the thing that I love the most. You know what I'm saying?
I get it. No, that makes sense. So the Legendary is a crew that shows up quite a lot throughout Tanya Morgan records, and I want to say even your solo records. Like, for those that may not know, like, who is the Legendary crew comprised of today, and what does their presence mean to the legacy of Tanya Morgan?
You had a member on not too long ago, Elucid from Arm & Hammer. He's legendary. Shay Grand is legendary. Rob Cave, aka Spec Boogie, Brick Beats, Aeon. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting people. Germicide, definitely. Who did I forget? I'm sorry, I forgot somebody, and I apologize. Ilias, myself, Don Will. You know what I'm saying? And then we got extended family, man. You know, we got a shout out to Nonya Meko, shout out to Hines, shout out to a brother named George, shout out to Gomez clan. You know, like it's just creative, artistic community of people. It's almost like I look at it like a fraternity. That's how I like to say it. It's not so much like this rap crew that, you know, we got to go on tour with together and blah blah blah. We do have an album. We did a legendary album called Ahead of Schedule, but I look at it more of like a fraternity. It's more like a card carrying member kind of thing, you know, where we link up when we link up, we work when we work. You know, like on this album, like I said, myself, Brick Beats, Aeon, Don, we did a bulk of the production, and that's all you know, for the legendary. Elucid and myself, we have an unreleased album that's coming out next month, so that's a legendary affair. And you know, we're producing a new album for Rob Cave, aka Spec Boogie.
So,
And you know, we just Shay Grant has produced a EP for us, Abandoned Theme Park. He produced that whole thing, and you know, we just keep it going, like just like collectively, even like, you know, Ilias, the stuff he does under Hoodtronic and all of his film work. It's legendary. Germicide does film work too. It's legendary. I'm trying to get into it myself. We might have legendary films one day. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a creative thing. You know, creativity all around.
But that goes back to me what I was saying about pulling on your brothers next to you as opposed to like reaching for idols and people who don't have any real interest in helping you for real. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed, indeed. You know, speaking about, you know, a lot of these other artists that are part of Legendary, and just thinking about the features on this project, one of the singles on this project features Jack Davy, and the track is called Whole Mood. And not only does she sing on the hook, she also has a rap verse. Like, what inspired the feature from her?
I can answer it.
Yeah, you got it.
She told us she was on the record. Like she another one. She's family. We were both signed to the same label in 2005. Yeah, we were both signed to the same label in 2005. If you go back and look at the We Be video from 2006, Jay Davy is in the video, and
I remember that.
Yeah, we've just been like extended fam this whole time, and she heard an early version of the song. Shout out to George. He designed the cover, and they're really close. And he was like, "Yo, you know, I'm working on a new cover for Tanya Morgan. They new stuff." And I guess she might have been like, "You know what? Let me hear something." And she heard like an early version of Whole Mood, and she's like, "Tell them niggas I'm on that song. I'm on that, like straight up." And so he's like, "Yo." Jack Davy said she's on the Whole Mood, and we was like, then Jack Davy's on the Whole Mood, then damn it, I guess she is. And when we heard it, I was like, oh my god, like the song was here, and now the song is right here. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean,
it's a blessing.
Like I love hearing her rap in general. So like knowing that she wanted to like rock on it, like rocking like bar out. I was all for it because she doesn't get her due as an MC. Like she gets her due in general, but I think that there needs to be like a special due for her as an MC. You know what I'm saying? Like
there's another legendary track. What is the name of that song? I'm slipping right now, but it's Rob Cave, Shay Grant.
Follow Pockets.
Yes. It's Jack Davy, Shay Grant, Spec Boogie, aka Rob Cave, and she does like the same thing she did on our track. She harmonizes through it. She takes it to another level with the harmonies and just the crazy vocals. And then she also does an awesome ass verse, you know. So she been hooking the legendary up. You know what I mean?
Indeed, like that track in particular, like it's one of those tracks that like she's all over it. Like you hear her in the hook, you hear her with a verse, you know, spitting, and then I think at the end of the track she harmonizes again, and it's just like her contribution to that track is big. And as I listen to that track more, I actually like it more. You know, I think when I first heard it, it took me a little time to get
yeah.
where I'm really feeling it. But the more I listen to it and just listen to the different elements, I really like it. So the final track is entitled After School Special, and this track is a sleep. Like this is a track that I think cats might sleep on. And the reason why I say that is because it comes at the end, but there's change ups, right? And I think when it makes that change, it just goes into another doper lane. And I think it's like what you guys are saying on the track too really stands out with the beats. You have a prominent line in the hook Vaughn, where you say aunties hold their phones horizontal when we come through.
Mm-hmm.
What makes aunties so excited to take pics of Tanya Morgan? Like, what did you want to convey with that line?
Yeah, that's me, and actually featuring Fresh Rose. He's actually my younger brother. That's me and my brother saying that hook, because I thought of, he's an artist in his own right, and I thought it would be funny if a younger person was saying it, and we have very similar voices. So I was like, that's the closest I can get to hopping in a time machine. So let me get younger me to say aunties hold their phone, because it's even funnier to me. And I just think, a few years ago, I just went in on this whole thing about aunties, because so many rappers be like, yo, your girl this, your girl that, and then shorty want to blah blah blah, and her friend. And I was like, man, what about the aunties? Y'all sleeping on the aunties, bro. Like,
this was before Auntie was. This was better.
Yeah, like it was a thing for me. I was like, man, y'all are sleeping on the aunties, man. And it's like, so I just started going with that. Like, I don't want to talk about your girl. I want to talk about your fine ass aunt. And then as got older, and I'm an uncle, you know what I mean? So it's like, at this point, it's basically saying our fan base fucks with us. Like, you know what I mean? Like we make, as quote unquote grown man rap.
Right.
And it's like, man, the sexy ass aunties come to our show, pull that camera out, get a video, and it's popping. You know what I mean? Like, it's the place to be. Like the Tanya Morgan show, the sexy aunties be at the show, man. It's like, and we not even know R&B singers or nothing like that. So that's what it is. Like, I said it in jest. I'm saying it to be funny. There's some definitely serious elements to that song, but it's just a mixture. It's what we do, man. Like, it's the life of Black and brown folks, man. It's like, you got to joke through stuff. Like, you got something serious to say, but then you got to joke through it too. Like, I'm on that song. I'm talking about crack epidemic, and how people didn't know they was addicted until they were addicted, and like how we talk about these kids now. Everything is lean, this, Percocet, that, and it's like, man, don't make them same mistakes. You know what I mean? But then I get on the hook, and like those same kids I'm talking to, I'm like, by the way, your aunt is at my show. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's heavy, but it's light. It's heavy, but it's light. You know what I mean?
And I appreciate that explanation, because when I heard the hook, I was trying to connect it to what you were saying in the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just really listen to that song, it seems like you guys are talking about being comfortable with growing old, and just staying true to your sound, and all the stuff that comes with longevity, when you're no longer like the hot thing, but you're like comfortable with what you've done. And that's when you attract like the aunties, and the aunties are really your core, your fans that was rocking with you during your prime. You're
damn right.
You're now aunties because you're older now. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And it's the whole thing again. Like, especially that song really sums it up, even down to calling it after school special, because it's like, it's all lighthearted. It's not we trying to like, hey, listen to me, blah blah blah. Whippersnapper. We're not doing that. But it's just like, yo, this is what I was doing when I was like the first part. The first part is like, they talk bad about the hood, but man, I was in the hood, and we was knocking on everybody's door, trick or treating. The drug dealers had candy, man. The people that were on drugs still had candy at their door, and they say, oh, y'all look so cute. They might have been, shooting up, trick or treat. They come give you candies, nothing wrong with it, because that's still a person. And they go back and doing whatever they was doing. And, we're all still human. We're all still people. It's not just the hood, the ghetto, blah, blah, blah. And then as the song flips to the Aeon production part of it, it just goes more into like, we're kind of talking to, when I hear it, I feel like Don is kind of like talking to his daughter in a way. And I'm just kind of like talking to like younger rappers and just being like, yo, man, blah, 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 rock ski, so-and-so. What you think that ski stands for? Because that was a cool drug at the time. Cat started setting it on fire. and the rest is history. And it's just like, I'm just telling you what I saw as we step into becoming those elder statesmen and stuff. I'm just like, all right, so y'all be careful with that, the Percocets and all of that stuff. And if I sound like an old head, if I sound washed, that's cool. But I'm not telling you something wrong.
Right. No, I got the sense of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just giving a little advice, you know what I'm saying, imparting what wisdom we do have to share, but also like Vaughn was saying, not in like a heavy-handed sort of like I know what's best sort of way, but just like I've seen some things, and if you if this resonates with you, cool. If not, make the mistakes and then translate them your way. But you know what I'm saying, like my verse was more or less just kind of talking to my daughter and talking to just like. A lot of times I write for my future self to go back. Like I listen to Tanya Morgan music. Like when Spotify does those year-end rap things, I feel weird posting them because it'll be like Tanya Morgan is the second most listened to artist in your catalog, which is
Stevie Wonder, Tanya Morgan.
No, it was literally that last year. You know what I'm saying? But it's because like sometimes it's listening to our music, thinking about what we haven't done, and sometimes it's listening to our music, like about how mixes change, or just like I listen to it to analyze, but I also enjoy it because it's good music. It's not like when people say I'm making music that ain't out there, I'm making music that I wish was out there. It's out there. Like I'm listening to it because we made it. It's really good. Right. Like, and you know what I'm saying? Like, but with that said, you know, sometimes I write verses and I'll go back and hear them and be like, man, I was on some. That's what's up. And that verse was kind of like for like sometimes, you know, when you have those moments of thinking like doubt about yourself or about the job you're doing, you go back like, oh, I'm on the right path. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And just to add one more thing, that's like my last verse on the album. That's like the end. So, and like, you know, there are other little parts here and there where I might joke about like, oh, you know, the young rappers dress funny or blah, blah, blah. But I end my verse with saying rappers went from TVs and the dashes to cars with eyelashes. And it's not like, you know, a lot of, again, rap uncles, it's so much to say about, oh, y'all wearing dresses and this and that. And I'm like, okay, we was wasting money putting a TV in the headrest, and that was dumb. And I was like, yo, we got jokes, but they own their music. They're smarter business people than the big bros I grew up on. Nobody got their masters and stuff from back there. Well, shout out to Daylight, they got theirs now. But like the younger cats, they got more business savvy. So I'm like, man, the joke's on who? So it's like we sitting here kind of trying to clown in and trying to tell y'all what to do. But I shut it out. At least, you know, I close out with like, yo, the joke's on who? You got your business in order. So like you know something. You know what I mean? It's not like I know everything. It's like, teach me something. You know what I mean? The joke's on who? So it's just like a back and forth thing. You know what I mean?
That's so dope that you said that, because I wanted to actually ask you about that line.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you broke that down. And it really speaks to sometimes the mentality that we see with some of the older heads. We call them purists, where they're like, you know, bitter about what hip hop has come to be, and for you to be able to see like the positive in the younger generation, as much as, you know, some of the jokes be warranted and stuff, but as much as that happens, you know, to still be like, yo, to bridge that gap, really, you know what I mean, and to recognize the good that they are doing, you know what I'm saying?
Our generation, I call it the blog era rap. We are the Jam Brady, you know, we are the middle child.
Word.
So we didn't have the budgets and the Hype Williams videos that some of like our big brothers had, and we also didn't have the dialed in. We were the guinea pigs, people like us, and even like Little Brother kind of like to end. They got in at the last minute, but then you had like your Pac Divs and, you know, all of us cats. We were like guinea pigs. Like, okay, how is this internet hip hop movement gonna work. And then you had like the TDEs and Beast Coast, and like you had Joey Bass, and all these guys came in and like, okay, we know how to do this now. This is how the videos need to look. This is how the website needs to look. This is how the Tumblr needs to look. And they like knocked it out the park. And we were kind of like the middle ground. So now it's like, okay, well, what is our advantage? What is our perspective? And it's like to see it, you know, to be in, like Kendrick said, looking in the middle of the room, looking around. You know what I mean?
Right. So let me just first say thank y'all for the time that y'all shared here today. I know I feel like it's either approaching 2 hours or over 2 hours that I've had you all. So I appreciate your time. In closing, I do want to go back to something that you guys said earlier when you guys were describing the cover art. You said that you know, you were at a point where you guys are kind of like, it's like a restart for Tanya Morgan, right? Like, so it leads me to ask, like, what's in store next? Like, how do you envision Tanya Morgan moving forward? Like, I don't know when we'll get another full-length project from Tanya Morgan, but just with that mindset of, you know, restarting and you know, having a new vision moving forward, what can people expect?
For me, I'll just answer it real quick. For me, I just want to continue to be creative with Don Will. If it's not another full length Tanya Morgan album, it may be, it may not be. It may be EPs, it may be singles, it may be we produce somebody else's album. We might score a movie. We might find some, you know, 18-year-old kid and write all their rhymes. You know, like I just want to continue to be creative with Don Will, whether that's more Tanya Morgan albums or whatever. So like the new chapter is just being creative with Don Will for me. You know what I mean? Whatever that means, whatever happens, whatever we end up doing, and it's gonna come from a place of creativity. Because right now I feel like with Don and Vaughn, we set the cards up, set the dominoes up, knock them down, and it's like right now I don't need to set them back up right now because I feel like we made the album we've been trying to make for a long time. So I'm not even thinking about another album right now, but I do know that I'm gonna continue to be in the creative partnership with him regardless, you know.
Do you guys feel like there's something still that y'all need to accomplish? Like, is there, or do you feel like this was it, the Don and Vaughn album? Like, is there something that you guys set out to do that, you know, if you really sit and think about it, man, you feel like you still need to do that? Like, is that something?
With this album, it really, you know, we had our own, you know, conversations when we started the album, and then we brought it into fruition, and so far so good. The album has truly lived up to everything we wanted it to live up to in terms of how we thought it would be received and how it has been received so far. And I really truly believe that the next battle we have is just fighting against the ongoing cycle of, well, what's the next album? What's the next album next week? You know, is Drake dropping next week? Is, you know, who's putting out an album next week? Who's putting out? So I really, in my heart of hearts, believe people keep listening to this album. I don't care if it's once a month. It will become like, it'll hit your, like, if you're a Tanya Morgan fan, it's gonna hit the top of your list of our albums. And it's not crazy for me to say this can be seen as one of our better albums. You know what I mean? And that's what we were trying to do. We've had a lot of people say that already, and just trying to keep it in rotation with everybody, you know, because like the one listen is not gonna make somebody fall in love with it, but it's a lot going on. There's a lot of little Easter eggs and things like to keep repeat listens happening. And that was the goal. And the next goal is, you know, we have a lot of more music that we're doing, we're not necessarily working on another Tanya Morgan album right now.
Right.
But we're doing more Tanya Morgan music. We're producing the record for Spec. Rob Cave, I keep calling him his old name, producing a new record for Rob Cave. And Dawn is doing some production for me. Like, we're gonna do something. So it's gonna be more time. You're not gonna miss Tanya Morgan for sure. You might miss Tanya Morgan's albums for a little while, but you're not gonna miss Tanya Morgan.
I get it.
Like
Yeah,
it's more. I would say the stuff that's in the pipeline is just more full immersion, if you will. Like, if you've been tapped in, you know, every so often we mutate and we do some things. That we might do a Rubber Souls with 6 Cents, or we might, you know, we might just kind of like go off in like a solo creative endeavor and do something that, again, it's as dope as everything else, but it's just a different chamber. It's just gonna be more of that, you know what I'm saying? More world building, but just this time with a different sort of like understanding and intellect. Because again, like the themes that we touched on this record come with age and time. Like you can't really write an after school special on while you're making Brooklyn Addy. Like you kind of have to live a certain amount of life to even articulate those feelings. So, you know, like the next phase will just be just the people you hear rapping on Don and Von, like making art. Because again, like the album has been, Don and Von have been done for a minute, but within that, like the person that you hear rapping on the record is still me. Like I still have that same ideology versus if you pull it, you get what you pay for. The person rapping on that record, I know who he is. It's not the version of me that's talking to you today. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You can keep going back, and I think that's everybody should evolve and everybody should change. And our music is so personal and integral to who we are. There's no way that our music is affected by the broader changes in our lives. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Musically, we got a bunch of stuff in the pipeline. We got some stuff coming. Again, like Von said, it might not be another album for a while, but it will definitely. People won't be starved in any way, shape, or form for Tanya Morgan music.
Wonderful, wonderful, man. Thank you so much to both of you for, like I said, for extending your time. I wish you all much continued success in your solo endeavors, and as Tanya Morgan, the group, man. Before we get out of here, do you want to kind of let the people know where they can find you, your social media pages or your website, just to keep acquainted with all things Don and Von or Tanya Morgan?
First of all, I do want to apologize to you. Like I said, I'm out of town right now, and my computer is dying, and my mom has the old school socket, so I can't plug I can't plug my computer up. So I do want to apologize if it cuts off, but I'm gonna let Don take over.
But yeah, we're just Tanya Morgan is TanyaMorgan.com. Everything you need is right there. In terms of solo stuff, is at Don Will or at Von P on everything across all platforms. Us being kind of like early internet adopters, we luckily secured our names on the platform. So wherever you want to find us at, you just type the whatever the thing is /Don Will or /Von P or /Tanya Morgan. We're fairly active online, like Twitter, Instagram, not so much Facebook, but yeah.
Indeed.
And one more thing, I hope y'all have enjoyed my Bikram yoga studio. If you look at how we started and look at me now, because I had to turn the AC and everything off. So I'm in a sauna right now, but it's all good. Krill's my man, and I'm happy to be here. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, thank y'all so much, man. And to all of our viewers and listeners, man, remember to go to our website, outtheboxmedia.com, to get connected with all we have going on, all the shows that we've put out, and the new stuff to come. You can become a free subscriber on that website, so we can notify you when we put out these episodes. You'll be one of the first to know when we put out the new episodes. Every Friday is a new show. So again, thank y'all for rocking with me, and thanks to all the listeners and viewers. Till our next show, I just want to say peace, love, and light. Stay focused, stay healthy, stay safe. We out.